As dark clouds gather over the global economy, all eyes are turning toward the Middle Kingdom. For decades, China has been the engine propelling worldwide trade and growth. But that finely tuned export machine is now sputtering, raising fears that a broader economic reckoning may be nigh. The latest trade data from Beijing paint a sobering picture. After months of resilient overseas sales providing a bulwark against domestic doldrums, Chinese export growth slowed sharply in July. A mere 7% dollar gain year-over-year may sound robust on paper, but it masked more troubling signs: an outright contraction in shipments to China's largest foreign market, the United States. This stumble in the People's Republic could not come at a more perilous juncture. Even as Communist Party mandarins double down on optimistic growth projections of around 5% for 2023, ominous portents are swirling across the Pacific. America, long the indispensable nation guaranteeing Chinese export fortunes, is wavering. Like a shutter running through an intricate manufacturing line, recent U.S. economic tremors have markets and policymakers on edge. Underwhelming jobs data, rising unemployment, and a deepening downturn in the production sector all signal an economy losing traction. Goldman Sachs now sees a 25% probability of outright recession before year's end. For the cadres in Zhongnanhai, a profound question emerges. How can the export juggernaut that propelled China's dizzying ascent for decades possibly endure if the primary consumer of its wares loses altitude? The stakes could not be higher. Not only is the U.S. still China's single biggest export destination, despite years of acrimonious trade battles, but an American hard landing would almost certainly catalyze a worldwide drop in demand from other key buyers, a chilling prospect given that nearly a third of all globally traded manufactured goods now bear the Made in China stamp. Moreover, the collateral damage could prove especially devastating in the emerging markets where China has staked its geo-economic ambitions. Those fragile economies act as potent accelerants, rapidly transmitting American economic viruses across an interdependent world. When the U.S. sneezes, emerging markets get pneumonia, cautions Alicia Garcia Herrero of Natixis. And China is growing ever more dependent on those very markets. Little wonder officials seem seized by a newfound zeal to resuscitate domestic consumption as a growth engine. President Xi Jinping's government recently unfurled a 20-point plan to stimulate services spending, recognizing that external demand alone can no longer be counted upon. Yet prodding the perpetually frugal Chinese consumer to open their wallets has proven a Sisyphean task over the years. Despite endless exhortations and modest stimuli, households remain conditioned by decades of prioritizing precautionary savings over free-spending ways. This entrenched psychology represents a profound civilizational rigor born of China's tumultuous modern history, a stubborn cultural residue that top-down dictates alone seem powerless to reshape. Thus does Beijing confront an agonizing dilemma. Press too forcefully to rebalance economic engines, and the conservative instincts of the masses may simply rebel. Yet fail to wean the nation from excessive trade dependence, and China may soon find its globalized prosperity alarmingly overexposed to encroaching American maladies. As my Tsinghua University classmate Zhu Xianfan ruefully observed over a smog-hazed Beijing duck dinner, the convulsions of the willow-patterned bowl echo inevitably in the Jade Cup. In an age of planetary interconnectedness, China can no more decouple from American economic forces than it can disentangle itself from the rich interdependencies enabling its very rise. How this high-stakes drama unfolds will reverberate across decades. For as much as some factions dream of self-reliant Chinese primacy, the reality remains. The fortunes of East and West remain lashed together, co-conspirators in an intricately globalized order. Decoupling is a mirage. What looms ahead is not an unraveling, but a reckoning with the latest convulsion in a cycle as ancient as the dynastic chronicles. A Middle Kingdom flowering was always fated to unsettle established hierarchies and spawn profound adjustments. The coming years will see how deftly China and America navigate this latest rupture in their long, intertwined civilizational dances. The resilience of their bond, an enduring encounter that has flowed across Silk Roads and centuries, will now face its most probe examination since the Mongol injury.